All right, let's get to it. Heard a brother say, "Hey, hey, hey." We're back.
We are back.
We are back. It is Community Beacon Friday. It's we're rounding up out of this year, man. we are
Wow.
we are rounding this year out. It's November. It
Whew.
was what's interesting. Oh well, hey guys, Mike Seville, Palm Beach Mike on all platforms, I believe. Yep, yep. Hold on. And of course, on the other side of the screen, we got my brother from another mother, the incomparable Joel Simmons of the Tenacity Foundation. It used to
Glad to
say,
be here with you.
it used to say it on there, the Tenacity Foundation. Guys, we are back.
Uh, yeah, we took that off. So we
Okay.
can always put it back on if you like it.
I'm just noticing things. I'm just noticing. I'm just observing things and asking questions when I think the question needs to be asked and get clarification. And so that you clarified it. So nothing further needed from my end. I appreciate you clarifying it for us. What are we getting into, brother? It's Community Beacon. It's Friday. I'm hoping everyone is doing well. How was your week?
Mm,
And how are we taking it into this weekend? Week's end.
yes, yes, yes. So for me, it's been a great week. Honestly, just really interesting. Very, very productive. Every single day is something else, Mike. Ever since I resigned from the fire department. It
Mhm.
has been, you know, trudging forward and enjoying every single moment. I enjoy the freedom of it. But I tell you this, man, there's a difference. There's a palpable difference in running this business while working for somebody else and running this business while running this business, right? There's a difference. Um, I just don't, I don't, when I wake up in the morning, I know, okay, it's time to go. It's time to go. And I know in some ways it almost becomes more of like a job, right? But it's still different because like I have management, I have a team all over the world. We've got projects going on. We just now got a board. So now it's like organizing the board so that we can get the preliminary things done so that the board can start doing what a board does. So there's just so many different aspects and so many things that I am learning right now and just building. It's just building. And in the words of Beethoven, Francois, pivot, pivot, pivot. And that's been what it is for me. A lot of learning, a lot of nurturing, a lot of curating, and a lot of diving in, on the deep end with expectancy of positive results. Just kind of like pushing towards positive results, no matter what results I get. Just turning that page, learning that lesson quickly as I possibly can, and then utilizing that lesson to dive in deeper and to drive positive results.
What's probably been one of the most challenging things for you as you've made that huge jump? I mean, you were with the fire department how many years? It's 20, close to 20, if not
Close
that.
to 20. Yeah,
Right.
in January I would have made 20 years in the fire service. um, I actually got hired. My original hire date was supposed to be December, so I'd have been a month out. But I actually didn't start working until like January the 6th in my first fire career. And then I left there and I got a transfer and started in the second one. So 19 years and 10 months is something like that. But The most challenging thing that I've faced so far is, I guess, navigating my the gaps. Like, I really got a chance to realize how many gaps I actually had inside of my business, right? Because I slowed down. I had to slow down. I got so many things going on, and I am used to just getting off from work and doing whatever the next thing is. But I don't have the opportunity to just do whatever the next thing is, right? So I had to restructure my prioritization list. And each time I've done that, like I do it over and over again, I realize, okay, there's a new gap. Okay, all right. So now that I see that this is a new gap, prioritize that, and then let's fill that gap so that I don't need to come back. And so these are they're not nuances, they're things that I understood. There was something about the complexity of running a business and working that wasn't allowing me, or that I wasn't paying attention to. So I almost feel like I paid attention, but somehow I still missed it. And now it's becoming more evident. And I believe that that is because I won't say need, I think that's a strong word, but I'm looking for the growth, specific places, specific locations within inside the business. I'm looking for X to grow. I'm looking for Y to grow. And in order for X or Y to grow, I have to do whatever that is for X or Y in order for it to grow. And where before I could just be like, okay, we're going to take care of A, B, C, D. All of those things are very important. Now it's like, okay, what is the, it's just like we've always talked about, what is the most important thing to get done today, and literally take everything off the table. And I think that when I realized that was when I realized there's not a there's not a simple paycheck coming through the mail,
Mm.
right? When there's just, oh, you know what? It's okay. There's a paycheck coming through the mail. I could take my time and I could exert my energy left, right, or it almost didn't matter because I could always make things happen and everything would be timely considerably to me because I had a paycheck that made things work. But now you take the paycheck out and I had to go back into my priority list. I was like, no, that is no longer priority because that is not going to drive any revenue. And I'd rather leave that sitting on the table for the next month than to not go without a paycheck for another week.
That's interesting. In regards to, one of the things that you stated was that paycheck is no longer coming in, right? And so that, because that happened, it was almost the motivation to get you moving and noticing, and being able to prioritize, rather, what should come first into your business. And um and it's interesting because you were doing this while you were working. And so, huh, it's, I think one day we can have a show so we can really, really clarify, because I got a lot of questions surrounding it, and I think your answers would enlighten a lot of people who are in similar situations that you were, being so successful at the fire department, with the amount of skills that I'm sure you developed while being on that job for 19, 20 years, in the positions that you had, in and leadership positions that you had at the station. So I think, and then taking that step, because a lot of people they want to do it, but not being able to see that paycheck coming in the mail, even though they know that, I mean, this business, I would imagine you chose because it's a part of your purpose, right? Like, there's a huge being in it for you. Otherwise, you almost have you're working at a fire department. It's a decent job. I'm sure the paycheck is a decent paycheck. Being there for as long as you were there, you supported a family on it for 19, 20 years. You've been there for most of your adult life. So that leap takes some looking into as well. So I look forward, hint, hint, I look forward to you really diving deep into that part because a lot of people, I personally believe a lot of people would enjoy being able to listen to that, right? And seeing how you got from this place to that place, and being able to move with clarity, right? A lot of people move out of fear. They have to be prompted, but it was like it was time, right? So I think that
Mm.
that'd be an awesome subject to dive into as you continue on your entrepreneurial journey. So everybody, let's keep let's clap it up for the brother. Um, is Bob? Who is it? I think it's Bob. No, that's Busher Banton that said it's not an easy road, right? Especially and really just the um, I don't want to say the comfortability, but just this was something you did for close to 20 years, right? So it's like you get into this is not going and seeing the people that you worked with, just that alone, I'm sure was something that you had to work through. So yeah, let's get on to it.
I love
Resilience.
it.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
we are in the series of resilience. The episode is titled Defining True Strength. So I'm not gonna I struggle with it. I just
Mm.
struggle with the topic of resilience altogether because I don't I've accessed it and developed it to a point to where I know and understand it's like a secondary, right? Like it's not even something that I even, and I don't know when, I couldn't tell you how, but I would imagine it was developed at some point in time. So I'm gonna sit back because I'm really not gonna sit back. I got a bunch of questions and just listen to you talk about it because it's almost foreign to me at this point.
I think that's interesting, because we had a conversation before, many conversations, as a matter of fact, Mike. And, but in this one particular conversation, you were telling me, you were like, you were describing something, a particular topic. And the way that you had described it was not the same way that you had described it like 4 years ago. And I just, I pick up on little things like this and I recognized something. The thing that I recognized was that it was because it's natural for you. And so there's what I learned in sales was, utilize the script, right? You utilize the script. And so when you first start, that's all you do. You don't go left or right. You just say whatever's in that script. One, because you have no idea what's in the script. You have to read it or you will say it wrong. And so the way they taught me was that when you first say the script, it's going to sound mechanical. People will know that you're reading a script. I'll never forget when I started learning this. I got on the phone with a buddy of mine who's in sales, and he's looking at me just like you're looking at me or whatever. And I'm like, hey, man, you reading a script? And he said, yeah, I am. And he started smiling. And I'm like, he's like, you can tell? I said, yes. And he was like, okay. I said, go for it. Keep going, man. You're doing good. You could tell we built up a really, really good, authentic relationship. Um, and then now he's at a point in time where he is really, really fluid. He speaks so well. I don't think he really uses a quote unquote script like that, but the script is in his heart. And so you move from mechanical to natural. And once you get to natural, you just begin to speak the stuff that was in the script, but you also know how to go in and out of it according to what you're actually dealing with. And that's the difference between someone who has mastered their craft and someone who is just learning their craft, right? It's the difference between the sensei and the grasshopper, is that when you are just learning it, you have to do the move exactly as it was intended, right? You're doing Taekwondo, they do a front jab, right jab, left jab, right kick, whatever. You have to practice it that way. And when you go and practice with somebody else, you do it just like that. Anybody that's of a higher level of belt will just knock you out because they know exactly what you're going to do. They've been practicing it forever and they're into doing mixed combos. So same thing with the script. Anybody that's just learning a script, they just do it. So Mike, what I learned from you was that there was a time when you were studying certain things and we had discussions and they were huge for you and you had one certain opinion of why it was important. And then I saw you switch gears and you said something that you didn't say what you just said now, but I'm taking it. This is the reminder when you just said, you know, how you look at resilience right now, struggling with the topic. And I believe that it's because you're a master of resilience. So it's not scripted for you. You don't have to think about it. You don't think about getting up after you fall. You don't think about if something goes wrong, what do I do? You simply move into the next gear. You just and it's so natural that it's almost like nothing ever happened. It's a very smooth transition. And I noticed that you went from, I'm not going to call it mechanical, but you went from this acknowledgement of I'm working in this particular aspect to this point where you're just doing it. And I've been watching you over the course of these 4 years, and it's brilliant. It's just brilliant to be able to see it. And I hope people go back and like look at some of these things and hear some of these discussions that we've had and see how you have absolutely transformed the individual that you were to the individual that you are.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it, and it's spot on, right? That's why I started off in saying like it's been so long since I had to really think about it. So even going back to think about it, it's just like it's a struggle. Um, because the process, like you mentioned, just like the script, right? The process, it it becomes automatic, and I say that not to say that, oh, this, I'm here, right? The brother said master, I'll take it. Right, I'll take him calling me a master, because there was um there was focus and there was effort involved in what it was. But this is more so for people to see the embodiment of something that you can get there. Because I would imagine the brother probably remembers more than me about this resilience thought process, and even the script, and even when we start talking about certain things, like when I start to look at things more from there's primary things going on, and if you're not really working the primary, then you're gonna have to deal with things that are secondary, right? The things that the results that come out of it aren't going to be favorable, right? If you're not in your primary. So it was interesting when we had this conversation last week, and then I went to a class in the evening, and the brother essentially was talking about this, and he was saying it's not about falling down and getting back up and so on and so forth. He says the primary, and I was just like, oh yeah, that was it. He found the exact word that I was looking for. It was more so about the resolve. Like when you're getting into something, if you have a strong resolve, which is the why. We spoke about your why and your purpose last week. Um, when you understand about your resolve, everything else is just secondary to it. So you're not even thinking about being resilient, because if you come across a challenge or obstacle to where you're falling down, if you all you're thinking about is this resolve. I got this place I got to get to. Let's let's say it's 10 yards out. I got to get to these 10 yards. That's on my mind. I was thinking about an example today. I said Tom Brady. Tom Brady said when the season before the season started, his goal in his mind is to win the Super Bowl. This is the most winningest quarterback ever in the NFL, right? Had an awesome career. Came here to Tampa Bay, which is my team. If I have a NFL team, it's Tampa Bay. Came to Tampa Bay, won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. Beat some of the best stars on his way to that Super Bowl. I remember it. He beat Patrick Mahomes. He beat Aaron Rodgers. Like anybody as a quarterback, he beat them in the playoffs on his way to his Super Bowl. So if your goal is the Super Bowl and you're resolved in that goal, everything else, because I heard the brother talk about in his business, we'll see losses, but that's when the losses become a lesson. That's when the falling down is he's going to take a loss, and this means nothing, because this one loss means nothing. It's what can I learn from what do we need to get ready? And I can imagine him saying in his mind, because this is what I would say, is that, okay, this is great that I fell down here, because we have so much to learn from that. It's better for us to learn this now than for us to learn this in the playoffs when we can't take a loss, right? Because in order to get to the Super Bowl. So if I can take this loss during the regular season, because I'm already resolved I'm winning the Super Bowl, the playoffs it's gonna happen. It's not even there. So these losses during the season, if I got to take 1, 2, 3, there's a certain amount you're going to take, because you can't, if you take too much, you're not going to get to the playoffs. But I'm resolved. That's my resolve, to get to this goal. And so once you get to that point, the resilience part doesn't even it kind of doesn't even show up. It starts with the resolve, to me, if I were to say the process. Then you gain clarity around it. Right? Excuse me. It starts with the goal. Then you become resolved to that goal, and then you get clear on your goals. And then it goes to preparation. I had a whole 5-point thing. It goes to the preparation. Then you're in it, so you're observing it, you're experiencing it at this time, experiencing, observing, right? Whatever it is, something happens. You lose. So this is the lesson, right? Don't even taking it as a loss. Now you make the brother brought up earlier. You pivot. So now I'm pivoting because I have to make this adjustment to get to this goal. Whatever it go, I know that. And then you check your resolve again, right? Because maybe the goals change, because that happens, right? Like we may get into business, and the goal may be for everybody, right? I want $1 million business. Let's just say that. That's like a number that a person would just come up with, right? Like you say, okay, you're in business, yeah. So what are you trying to do by the end of this year? Man, I really want to do $1 million, right? Now I know, gross or net. Gross. Okay, cool. Well, let's get clear on how it is that we're going to get there, because we're going to be strategic on how we get there. Okay, great. So now you're doing this. You're in business, and you're doing what you need to do. Let's just say you have a strategic plan. You got a coach. A coach is the brothers drinking C4. Shouts out to we're not going to sleep tonight.
You know me.
He's resolved to make it throughout the day. Shouts out to the brother. C4 after 4 o'clock. We in it now. So your goal is this $1 million. At first, I'm resolved to get there, because who doesn't? Like, who, when you start off, you want $1 million. I don't think we have a world lack of people who want to do hard work. I see a lot of hard workers everywhere, right? And I think that, and that's a good thing, right? Because that what I'm saying is that there's not, I'm not going to call anybody lazy because they're doing something, right? So there's work or effort and focus involved in it. Hopefully, maybe effort, maybe less focus, probably no strategy, but either way. So now you're working towards this $1 million. Let me tell you what happens. So you do that, you resolve. The first thing happens, okay, that's just a hiccup. The second, okay, this is just a hiccup, that's a hiccup, and you're doing it. But now when you start to look at it, you start to say, well, okay, I'm having these hiccups. This is the observation period. As you experience it, you're out observing it. I'm having these hiccups. I'm pivoting, right? I'm pivoting. And now you get to a point to this adjustment. And I'm gonna tell you what's interesting. What happens in this adjustment happens to a lot of people who are successful in their own right. They start to say, well, one of the hiccups was I don't get to spend as much time with my family as I thought. Like the brother spoke about freedom, but sometimes, not sometimes, I always say like we're our worst boss, right? Because we make ourselves work harder. We make, you know what I mean? When we think all dependent on our feelings for the most part. But then we start to say, okay, there's a hiccup in the family. Okay, I'll make the adjustment. Okay, now there's a hiccup. I'm not able to go on vacation or really do self-care things because I'm dealing with this. Okay, well, like this is going on and this is going on, this is going on. So the pivot, right? The pivot might be like, I don't know if I want to, necessarily want to this business to depend on $1 million business. It happens a lot. I want this more to be a lifestyle business. Well, Mike, what do you mean by a lifestyle business? Well, I really want to create something, and this is just from the learning part of it. I want to create something that gives me a lifestyle that I can enjoy and I can be happy with. Right? This is so now all of a sudden the goal. It's interesting because the goal may change at this point. The goal may say, okay, well, I don't necessarily want this $1 million business, right? Because it's going to take X, X, and O. Once we start to observe, and we're being strategic, and we're actually in it, right after 3 months. And I always say that give yourself 3 months on things, right? That way you can say if how you want to do it. But if I'm headed in a certain direction, and at that 3 month mark, I'm just like, I don't know if because I've been through it. And I'm starting to notice this. Like, I don't want to deal with this amount of clients that's going to take me to $1 million, right? Like that's a lot, or whoever it is, you got to be providing a service or a product. Like, I don't want to deal with this thing. I want to do, or you may get to a point that say, I can do more. Like this $1 million, like I'm about to hit that. Like it's going to happen. In less time than I thought. So maybe at this point, I need to, I wasn't thinking big enough. But when you're in this thought process and you're keeping the primary, the clarity, the preparation, the resolve, you're pivoting, things are changing and you're gaining this momentum, or you're not gaining momentum, or you start to say, okay, well, think about how many people's business started one way and it turned into something else, right? Like I'll take Amazon, for instance. Amazon started off as a bookstore. And at some point in time, the pivot was like, wait a minute, there's a whole hole in this industry. I can service this entire entire industry doing this way. Or I meet somebody and they're adding on, and so the pivoting is happening. But the primary of having this resolve of wanting something better, and I'm going to stick to it. The resilience ends up becoming the secondary. A lot of things end up becoming this, just like I was talking about the money. I'm telling you, for most people, I would imagine, of successful people, the pivot became there was a lifestyle pivot. Like, it's not worth working these 60 hours, 60, 80, 90 hours a week for a lot of people, right? There's probably only some people like Elon Musk, right? The richest person in the world. who's like, I get up and I work 16 hours a day, even on Sunday. And I remember Mark Cuban wanted to catch up with him. Mark Cuban was like, he had this sort of competition with Elon, but Elon was he's a it's a his that, this is his lifestyle, right? Like this is his whatever he's this is his validation. This 16, 18-hour day. Is the money is not even a thing for Elon. Elon is talking about Mars, right? Like he want and I would imagine with all the work he's putting in, he wants it in his lifetime. He doesn't want it, the turn of the 22nd century, you know what I mean, for his kids. He wants to be there saying, "Hey, I created this colony on Mars." And that is his goal and his pride and he's resolved to do that through Tesla, through X, through whatever it is. So when you look at him and these things are happening through life, with like you mentioned, brother, it may have started off mechanical. I would agree, right? That might be the exact thing. So I say all that to say this because I think the brother is spot on with it. Is that it starts off mechanical, the script that you use. The thing that's interesting about sales in the script, I'm gonna tell you people. I was listening to Jerry Acuff, and he's probably one of the best salespeople out here. Jerry Acuff at Sales Trainers, he'll say, he said, I can teach you the script and what to say. He said, what I can't teach you is knowing who to sell to and when to sell it. Right? I can't tell you. I did a bunch of cold calls. A brother, I'm got to be familiar, right? Because he's done them as well. To where you're doing these cold calls, and at first, the reason why you stick to the script is because you don't know when to shut up. Like you could have made the sale on the first sentence. Hey, this is Mike. Looks like you had your house on sale and it came off the market. Are you still looking to sell? The person's going to say, let's just say this is a great person, right? You go through a lot of no's, but somebody says, you know what? Yeah, I still do want to sell. A novice sales trainer is going to still go through asking the questions. Here, the prospect questions. Okay, so when did you want to sell? Okay, so we're going to go through all this. There's a time and a place for it. But if a person is telling you from in my business, and it's an expired, and they're like, yeah, I still want to sell. Okay, I can be by at 3:30 or 4:30. Which time is better for you? I can jump off this thing right now and go meet you at 12 or 1 o'clock. Let me just put together this thing. What time is best for you? And let's go ahead and get this thing sold. That's when you become a master. Like there's no need to go through this. A novice salesperson is going to attempt to, at that time, there's a time and a place for it. At that time, is going to try to establish some kind of relationship. We had this conversation. Remember, I told you I was at this guy's house for 12 for like 12 hours or something, right? But a pro knows that, okay, this person's ready. And let's say that they don't just say it explicitly like that. There's going to be times when they're just hinting on it. Well, I just don't want to. It's just a lot going on. You know what I mean? I don't think the market is ready yet. Okay, yeah. So what makes you think that? That's what I would ask. Like, so what about the market is telling you that, right? And then because it's really not about the market, it's really about them and their feelings about not getting it sold. I'm talking about expired, so on and so forth. But once you start doing it over and over again, there's a point when it's just like it just lights up. Okay, yeah, this person's ready. Or or it can go the other way. This person's not ready, but they still want to keep you on the phone. We live in South Florida. There's a lot of lonely people who like to talk. Right? They want to, and if you're a nice person, and I say nice specifically, not a kind, because if you're kind, you get off the phone with those people, that person. But a nice, you want to come off as being nice, and so you're indulging them. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
And you're on the phone for 30, 45 minutes, and it's like, oh, you're such a kind, nice guy. Your whole prospecting time is gone, right? Because you're learning you're experiencing and you're learning these things. All right, let's get back to resilience because I have to remember. Okay, let's
I don't
jump
think
back.
we left. We never left resilience. You
Okay.
know, I believe that this was perfect in the route that you went. I mean, because like, and that's why I put redefining resilience, because as we talked about last week, it's not resilience is less about bouncing back, like just what you're saying. And I think that it's really important for everybody to understand that, because it is a bounce back in the beginning, like we were talking about mechanical versus natural. It is absolutely a bounce back. It's like, come on, man, get up. You can still do it. And that's because there's a mental challenge that's going on there. There's a confidence issue that's going on there, and then there's something that's called competence. And competence, typically it builds confidence, right? So the more you understand something, the more you study into it, the more it becomes a part of you, you gain a sense of confidence, right? And when you have that confidence, it doesn't look the same anymore. So if you were to fall down, it would not look the same. And then going back to your example of like a football player, like I love that analogy, right? Because resilience doesn't even look like resilience to any of the fans that are watching a running back. When a running back goes down, goes up the field, and somebody and someone gets ready to tackle him, right? That right there, the minute that they step into his pathway, that is an obstacle. It is a challenge. It's the same thing as, if you expected to get a paycheck today and you didn't get it, and now you have to pay a bill. That is a challenge. It is an obstacle, right? And so, what the novice running back will do is he will run the route and get hit. He'll get sacked. Not sacked, but he'll get hit. He'll get tackled and he'll land on the ground. And then, it's his job to take that tackle, bounce up, think about it, and then do it again when he gets the opportunity, right? The opportunity may not come right back to him, just like the opportunities don't always come right back to us in any form of life. But the expert or the master, he goes down that field, he runs up that field, and he sees someone coming to tackle him, and instead he pivots. That's resilience. That's resiliency right there, because he's bouncing forward. He's going to emerge changing. He's going to become stronger. He's going to be wiser, and he's going to take a different pathway. That's what he's going to do. He's going to pivot. He may sidestep. He may throw out a little hand. He may do a spin, whatever that looks like. That it doesn't look like resiliency to us anymore. So that's why I said we're redefining resiliency, because at that point in time, it doesn't even feel like resiliency. What it feels like a pivot. What it feels like I saw something coming that I've seen before. Why do I need to fall down if I already know what's about to happen? Why not just sidestep?
Come on. Come
It's
on.
the same thing. It's still
Come on.
resiliency. Only difference is I don't get dirty. And so like this is what we have to use in all parts of our life. And I remember, Mike, you and I, we used to talk about this thing about transmutation, especially when I was deep inside the books of what's his name?
Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill. Oh,
Napoleon
never.
Hill. I was about to say Neville Goddard, but
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill,
Mhm.
and I think Neville Goddard too. But transmutation, right? And it's the state of when what you are doing here can be applied here or here or here, because it constitutes the same type of result, only in a different aspect, right? So if I'm talking about football, I could be talking about business. Just pivot. Okay, I see that, it doesn't appear that so and so is going to pay me. So what do I do? Do I just keep on keeping on? No. Number one, what is the true goal? If the true goal is to be able to pay X bill or whatever, and I need the funds from this person, well, there is me going out and trying to get somebody, a lawyer and everyone else to come and to go tackle this individual to make them pay me my money, you know? And I'm not saying that you don't do that, because you may need to do that, especially if it's a high bill. But then there's also, hey, why don't I go out and make some more money, call my lawyer up, let the lawyer deal with that, and I go make more money over here.
Mm,
There's so many other ideas of how you can pay the bill, because the idea is to pay the bill, right? And so going back to the running back, the idea is not to run up the field. That's not the goal. The goal is not to run up the field. The goal is to win the game. That's the goal. The goal is to win the game or to win the
that's
championship.
big.
And so what you need to do, you
That's
just need
big.
to get into the end zone. So that means that my resiliency may look like, hey, listen, I have not been able to shake this guy at all. You need to send it on left side. I'm on right side, send it left side, or you need to pass it. You know,
That's it.
resiliency is reforming the
Yeah.
plan in the moment instead of
Mhm.
just getting tackled every moment. We got, and that's the reason why this conversation is so huge, because it's like, I believe we want to share how to redefine resiliency so that people can stop getting smacked and falling on their backside, and they can realize that they can actually do what Mike just said about 20 minutes ago, which is learn the lesson and then learn them fast, but in the beginning, maybe learn them slow. It's okay. It's okay. As long as you got breath, you got life, you got another day, it's okay. Maybe you don't want to make that $1 million this year because you don't know how to juggle your family, your time, your mentality, your business. You're losing hair. You got to go see nothing wrong with seeing a therapist and anyone. My dad's one, and I'm a coach, not a therapist by license, but I speak with people because it happens. But if you stop taking care of your mental health because you got to make $1 million and you end up losing your wife and your kids and your house and everything else just so that you can have the same story as Tyler Perry, you know, being homeless before he can actually give that document over to someone who discovered him. Like, it doesn't have to be that way, right? Maybe not. Everybody doesn't have a story like that.
I love it. I think at some point in time, unpacking confidence and what a person could describe as having low confidence, right? And it's about the result. It's about if you don't like the result of what you're getting, right? Because of there's a confidence issue there, right? That's how you know you have low confidence. Is that the result that you're getting is not necessarily the result that you want, and it's because of there's a confidence thing there, right? Then you can get into, like the brother spoke about, the competence portion of it. Okay, well, what is it that I need to do, and how many times do I need to do it? What does this repetition look like? A lot of us don't get the reps in, and that's okay, right? I think especially when you're starting a business, you may not necessarily have that the ability to go out there and get a bunch of clients, right? Like in real estate, they used to tell me, and I said this was just the dumbest thing. I hated it. And most brokers are going to tell you to do this. Like, and it happens, right? I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you go into a bookstore and let's say you're perusing the business section. Then somebody just comes up and they start talking to you. And then you're like, okay. And then they start, as it starts to unfold, they're part of some type of program, or something, and they essentially want to bring you in, right? Like, there's strategies for that. There's strategies for this happen. I'm not, do what you got to do, right? I think it's awesome. Do what you have to do. Another way for you to be able to do this thing is to um find the lessons and all the principles and all the context of life, right? Shouts out to Dr. Terrell Baker. She wrote, "Step aside, avoid being tackled, get in the end zone, and redefine resilience." I love it. Absolutely, Doc. Yeah, is it okay if I call you Doc? What as so we get a chance to get into that confidence conversation that you spoke of, or lack thereof, right? We get to really unpack that at some point in time, and if we continue, if we're allowed to continue having these conversations, if the Most High allows that. um I think something else is the competence part, the repetitions, like this same analogy of this person, like you get hit, but if you have low structural thinking and low goals, like the brother said, it's not about getting into the end zone, right? And think about this too. This is what makes it when because we spoke about true leader. We say we're talking about true leadership. True leadership is Tom Brady getting everybody on the same page saying, it's not about you scoring that touchdown,
Ooh.
right? It's not about you scoring that touchdown. It's us winning the Super Bowl. So sometimes you're going to have to run out of bounds. If there's a chance that there's time on the clock, it's counting down. We're trying to get into this end zone, or we need a touchdown. We need to get closer. I don't know what that was.
That was a gong for you, buddy. I mean, you firing off some stuff right there. That was heavy right there.
We need to get a touchdown. You need to get out of bounds. Oh yeah, but hold on. Think about how tough this is as a leader. Tom, I hear what you're saying, but if I get an extra 20 yards during this game, I get a bonus.
Whoa, oh, ooh, that's selfish. Ooh,
It,
that's not that's not even a that's not any that's a personal goal right there.
right, but it's we got to understand, like, this is the things that we come up against
Yes.
as leaders, right? There's people who aren't on the same page. And check you're telling me this selfish, but I have a tax bill,
Okay.
due because I didn't spend my money wisely. I got a tax bill due. I need this. I need this bonus to pay the tax man, right? I'm a couple $100,000 behind taxes, right? So being this leader and having this part of this resolve is to have this conversation with this person saying, okay, well, now we got to make these real-time pivots. This might be a part of,
Mm,
right? This is a part of it. It's now I have to figure out different ways of how can we get all this thing, how can we get this done at the same time? Heck, it might be that I make so much more money than you that I'm telling you, like, listen, I'm gonna take care of it, because the goal is to win this Super Bowl, right? So we need it now. We're making real life decisions, because we can't say that if you've ever been a leader that somebody on that team had different thoughts about what the goal was, and in our minds it could be selfish. I'm not here to judge anybody. I don't know their situation. I don't know who they have to look up to. They might have a wife at home or somebody at home that's putting pressure on them. They need to get this thing. How can we make this happen so that we're all going to end up getting to the ultimate goal? I would imagine as a team is the Super Bowl, right? Like
mm,
to win the Super Bowl. So we get it. We get a chance to pivot. I think another thing that we kind of get into with this is like real is kind of in our mind, it could be thought of as low structural thinking. And I say that because let's be quite honest and clear. Things are going to happen in your life that are going to require what I call resilience. Deaths, in your family, if someone close to you, uh, you know, natural disasters, right? You need to be resolved and have and be able to access resilience within that as well. Divorces, a lot of people get into that situation and they don't quite bounce back. They don't understand how to pivot. A lot of this stuff, and you had something up here, brother, recently, a second ago, is because we didn't build the inner strength as we went along. We wanted to we wanted to skip steps. Well, Mike, what do you mean you want to skip steps? Your mother died, or your shoot, God forbid, your child died, or my wife is divorcing me. my whole world is falling apart. It's 15, 20 years, and this is happening. Well, that's because you forgot to prepare yourself, like to build in it, like this relationship with yourself. Like where exactly were you at, right? Where were you skating? Why were you so comfortable? Why can't you let like you start to become? So what really happened was you became codependent on a person, right? To the point now where if this person something happens, and I'm not saying you don't take time, but if you don't start to build this inner strength up now, you're gonna sit a lot of time out if you ever come back. Resilience isn't even a thought process, right? Like now, now it's a whole different thing. You're going down a whole different journey. So what I say is at this point in time in your life is to kind of look at it and it could be anything. Take all of these lessons, right? Because God forbid you go through more, multiple divorces or have all the, death is gonna happen. This is happening. So start to prepare at this point. Like what am I gonna do? Or what are we gonna do? I've seen families fall apart. You want to know how you want to understand how wealth is lost? Let death in the family happen and you're not prepared for it. There's people that never recover from that, who have established and were rather successful in the financial aspect of it, but they didn't start to prepare themselves because and we don't like to talk about it. You were in the business a couple years ago, brother, in regards to, we were talking about life insurance. We spoke about that. Like you were never prepared for this stuff. Not and all of a sudden this happens. You got to deal with the emotional aspect of it. And guess what? The world is still going on. The
That's
banks
right.
want to be paid. These bills still have to get paid. The children still need to eat. Like, whatever it is that needs to happen, these things they're still going to happen. They may have they may give you a little leeway. Hey, this happened, give me a couple months or whatever. But in about 3 to 6 months, the phone calls are going to stop. The, people checking up on you because everybody has their own life going on and things need to start happening regardless. But if you start to prepare yourself for this stuff, right? Because the when we break, you spoke about the rubber band, but when you break, it's because of lack of preparation for the most part,
Mm.
and that sense of urgency. The resist
Yeah,
now you got no choice, what I want is for us to not too much to be thinking about resilience, but really be thinking about this pivot portion of it.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it. Daddy Bailey said this to me, man. I have held on to it all my life, ever since the day he said it. He said, "You knew the day was coming. Why didn't you prepare?" And many of us, we act like we don't know certain days are coming. Many days, like brother, you was just talking about death in the family. People have not been living hundreds of years since way back in the time of Methuselah. So as far as I know, people are dying, right? So you know the day is coming. You can take the time to prepare now. Like when you start talking about the insurance agency, I realized something. You know what I did? I went and I started talking to my kids. It was like the day is going to come when I'm going to pass away. I had that conversation. Like, why should I wait? I'm 46. I started talking to them, 40, 42. I started talking to them. And then in the beginning, it's kind of weird, but then I just talk to them every so often. I learned something about how to talk with people too. And I
Mm,
teach this to people that are going through relationship trauma. You know, I call it planting seeds. That's what I call it. It's very simple. Plant seeds because it takes time for the seed to germinate and the time for it to grow. And all seeds don't grow. Some of them don't make it beyond the break of the ground, right? Some of them get eaten by birds or whatever. There's a lot of different things that ends up happening, and a lot of seeds don't grow. So you need to plant a bunch of seeds. And what do I mean by seeds? Words. Words are seeds. Words are seeds. You feed people with words. You feed. Even the scripture says. Man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So, like, words, start planting words, plant intentions, plant values, plant morals, plant, you plant beliefs. That's fine. Whatever it is, that's in your house. I'm not telling you what that looks like. I don't care what it is that you got going on in your mind or whatever. I hope it's positive. But I mean, you got to do those things, and it helps a lot inside of relationships because people are able to look back and they can remember what you said on such and such day or what you did. This is what helps us also to build that inner strength, right? Because when the shift comes, when the season changes, right? Jim Rohn used to always talk about the season. He said, you change things you can change, right? But you can't, he said, don't try to change the season. You can't stop it from snowing. You can't stop the leaves from changing color. You can't stop the birds and the bees to get along together in the spring. You can't do that. What you can do is prepare for it. You know the season is coming. So prepare, because when you build the inner strength, then you're ready when the day comes. It here, here's what it is. True strength, it's forged in the struggle. Every storm reveals what kind of foundation you have laid. If your foundation is slippery or it's quicksands, the minute the storm hits, you will know because your house is going to fall. People are going to fall. People are going to be hurt, right? Pain has its purpose when it's processed. Don't avoid it because it is building up strength inside of you. And too many times we are attempting to escape pain.
Mhm.
That it doesn't make sense because pain is an indicator. Like the brother was talking about a few weeks ago when he was talking about signals. He said emotions are signals. Pain is a signal. It is telling you something is off track, something is not aligned, something is not correct, something is in the wrong place, something needs to be checked on. Well, I talked about it months ago. When the check engine light comes on, go to the auto mechanic and get it checked. Too many times we see it ding and we just keep driving, keep rolling. And now when the oil is no more in the reservoir and you blew out the carburetor, you got white smoke billowing out the back, and the guy's telling you that you might as well get rid of it, your brand new whatever, because it's a heap of junk, you will be upset. But the truth of the matter is you had an opportunity to prepare. And so now this is the equivalent of you getting tackled, right, on your way, and you get laid out, and they carry yourself out on a stretcher, put you on the back room with a couple of medics and a life pack because they think you're dead. You're going to the hospital, right? But you knew the time was coming, right? Every single running back knows that he can be tackled at any moment. You don't think he prepares for that every single time he goes out
Mhm.
to practice? We have to start preparing. We want to get into business. Start preparing your mind, start preparing your budget, start preparing your household, start preparing your family, start preparing. Prepare for the hardship. You got to prepare for the day that your business is about to take off and then something happens in your family and you don't have enough money to sustain both. What are you going to do? At least you can have a plan, a mindset. At least you can start talking with people so they can understand if this day happens, which it may, this is what I intend to do. Right. And I'm not saying you have to have plan Bs for everything because I get the whole thing, burn the boats, burn the ships and stuff like that, go all in. And sometimes that works out really well for people, but some people lose everything. And I'm in this little, I'm not gonna call it a rant because I feel like it was very valuable what I said. So I'm just gonna say I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end this little piece with this. So I used to work for a place. It was a copy center, and I spoke with the manager. And when I spoke with the manager, not the manager, when I spoke with the actual owner, I asked him, "How did you do it? What is this? What is that?" He said, "Listen, me and so were in an empty building. Nobody wanted to give me a loan. No, you know how much that copy machine costs? It costs the same amount of money as a Mercedes Benz." That's what he's telling me. I'm like, okay. He's like, nobody wanted to help me. I had to take money out of my house. Me and this other person slept on the ground. We had no furniture, one copy machine. I would sleep at this time and he would copy. He would sleep at this time and I would copy. And we just did it like this the entire time, nonstop. Oh man. He said, yeah. So this means everything to me. I lost my wife, my house. Oh, snap. He never went home. He wasn't cheating on his wife with another woman. He was with a business. And the business cost him his marriage. So we don't understand these things. That's why I prefer, if y'all want to start a business, come talk with me. Because you're not going to just get some of this business etiquette that I have and that I take from my brother right there on the other side. But we're going to talk about real life stuff. Real life stuff. You know? And it's not just that. Go and talk to Mike. Mike had been through some things. And y'all be getting like, you just get the wisdom of Mike on the tail end. Because he doesn't go into every single situation. But he's got scars. He's weathered some storms. That's the reason why he's able to stand here and to deliver these messages the way that he delivers them. I've been watching them for like 14 years. I've seen the brother go through some things. The reason why he's so strong is because he went through them. He built the strength when it was time to build the strength. Too many times people are not working out when they need to be working out. Then they get older and they can't lift up a can of corn. How are you going to feed yourself? You can't open up a can of beans. You can't pick up the milk carton. You should have been in the gym. You knew the time was coming. You knew you were going to get older. You knew you were going to slow down. Why didn't you save? Why didn't you invest? Why didn't you get insurance? You knew the day was coming that your wife or your husband was going to have to fend for themselves. Why didn't you prepare? So it's like live today, but prepare for tomorrow, right? This is building up your inner strength. And even in the times of adversity, because that's when we truly get a chance to see, did I build a good foundation up until this day? Whoo, man, that thing hit hard. Man, hit me in my gut, hit me in my heart, hit me in my mind, hit me in my body, hit me in my pocket, but I'm still alive. Okay, if a storm come back like that again, I know what I need to do. If it hits you harder, you will most likely be able to stand it because if you can stand two, you should be able to stand a three. You just may lose something along the way.
You're gonna pay. There is a price to pay.
It's a price to pay.
There is a price to pay. And I was listening to you when you spoke. You know, you brought up the example of Tyler Perry. You brought up the example of this running back who wasn't prepared, that got laid out, and now you're on the side. And so someone would say, "Well, Mike, you know, it's happened. Look at Adrian Peterson. He came back." And I'll look back at him and I'll say, for every one Adrian Peterson, there's about 20 or 30 running backs that you have no idea. You have no idea, because really for those guys, Tyler Perry, and for every guy who slept in their car, every Tyler Perry, there's probably thousands of people who slept in their car and never made it back from that sleeping in the car. Now you talking about resilience, right? Resolve. Be resolved.
Yes.
Those and I'm telling you about when I say talk about resolve, because you're gonna get caught up in resilience. The resolve are the people that you're looking at. Those people who came back and did greater and bigger things after those setbacks were resolved. The person who's talking about resilience is always I heard someone call them the bounce back man. Oh, they the bounce back man. The bounce back man don't get far. I'm telling you this right now. A lot of people do not bounce back. Be resolved in it. My last thing was, and I spoke about it last week. It says an object in motion stays in motion. This is the law of inertia. And an object at rest stays at rest unless acted upon by an external force. I want you to pay close attention to the people, places, and things that allow you to lose the momentum. It took you, whatever it took you to get to that point, to get you rolling, so to speak. Or you're at rest, right? I want you to pay attention to all of these different things. Start to look at the people, places, and things. And a lot of this stuff is not done consciously on their part, anyways. But most people have never seen anyone like you. I'm talking to the 8 to 9 percenters. They haven't seen anything like you. So what you're doing is probably contrary to what they believe needs to be done. So they're giving you wisdom from an average place, and you're not an average person because you're resolved to get to where you want to go. Pay attention to the people who are helping to move you forward energetically, and pay attention to the people who are attempting to keep you in place, not because they're doing something bad in their mind, right? But they want to protect you. They want to make sure that you're safe. They don't want to see negative things happen to you, but they've never seen anyone like you, right? So pay attention to that. You have to be resolved. And because you're going to come up against things that you're not going to be seeing. And if you're just working on the secondary of it, being resilient and not being resolved, you're going to get caught up in the hype, and you may not come back from it. You're going to be stuck in that place. And it makes for a good movie, but not for a good life.
Mm. Whew.
I
Hey
see.
man, and
Dr.
some
Baker
movies don't make it.
wrote,
Some
they were
movies
saying they
don't
said
make it.
that real life is more interesting.
Daniel
Yeah,
resolved in his
Daniel was
heart
resolved in
not
his
to
heart not
eat
to
the
eat the
defiled
defiled food.
food. Yeah, and looked beautiful. Skin color was beautiful. Everything about him was beautiful. He was different. I like the fact that he was different too. Because I mean I think that that actually, Dr. Terrell, that actually speaks to something that Mike was just talking about, and maybe that's where you put that there, because it's like we all really need to fall into our own identity. Stop chasing these imaginations stop chasing our imaginations of what we could be if we were somebody else. Just be the best you. Learn the lessons, put the tools in your belt, learn how to use the tools. It's going to be awkward in the beginning. Get with somebody who can help you learn the tools. I mean, you're going to hear that from Mike and me all the time. All the time. Mike is actually my first, when I first got my first paid help, like to start moving things forward, I didn't know what I should do. I was unsure. I was like, "Oh snap! This is too much right here. What's going on?" So I called Mike up. I called Mike up, and I was like, "Mike, such and such such such." She was like, "Okay, okay. Tell me more about what they doing for you." Such 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 such. I was like, "Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah." He said, "Yeah, okay." He said, "Well, how much does it cost?" And I told him I was like $10,000. He was like, well, that sounds about right to me. That's about how much I paid for my first, coach or whatever it was, consultant or something like that. And I was like, okay, cool. And I hung up the phone and I went to the invoice and I paid it. That was it. That was it. Now, granted, I trust Mike with my life. I ain't got to agree with Mike about everything. I don't. Matter of fact, I'm glad that I don't have to, and I'm glad that there have been times when we don't agree, because I know that if he doesn't agree with me, he will tell me. I don't need no yes people around me, because what if I'm wrong? Or what if I need to look at it from a different viewpoint? What if there isn't really a wrong? There's just different perspectives. I don't need somebody who's just going to agree with my perspective and send me on my merrily way. You know, oh, don't worry about it. That's it. That way is, I think that this road is safe. Let's go this way. Don't worry about it. You're probably safe. I'm not going with you. Going around that corner, get hit by a car. Oh man, I kind of felt like there was going to be something around that corner. Man, it's too late now. So it's like, what I do know about Mike, though, is he going to tell me the truth. What I do know about Mike is he got my back, whatever I'm going through. What I do know about Mike is I can tell him something to his ear and it won't leave his mouth. Like the value system, y'all. I know I didn't went somewhere different from resiliency, but I'm just saying this is the reason I went to him for the expert advice, and he led me down a pathway that helped me tremendously. And because of that, I was able to break free from what was going on in my mind, which was I can do this all by myself. It was challenging to do to get where I am right now with people. With people. With the team, it's still been challenging. It presents new challenges. I don't know that I would have got this far without them. I mean, just look at what we did in the Philippines. Talk about resiliency. No, resolve. So every year I attempted to go to the Philippines, and every year I was thwarted. Every year for 4 years, thwarted. It wasn't my resiliency, and I didn't even realize it till Mike just like opened this whole thing up from resiliency to resolve. He just opened it up in this show, and I'm like, no, that was not resiliency. That was resolve. I was not stopping until I showed up and until we helped some children. Period. That was my championship.
Yeah.
And so I think that there was a couple other things that was on the topic. I think this was time well spent myself personally.
Mhm.
I feel like it was deep enough. So if y'all are really upset with us about not going into those other topics, you can put it inside the things.
Listen, this is one of those episodes that need to be earmarked, because if you can just get a little understanding of it, like if you can just grasp the concept of just in that last sentence, which that last story you told, brother, about getting to the Philippines, and you're not like, he ain't thinking about, the resilience becomes secondary. I'm not saying, and everybody is on their own journey. We don't know what levels everybody is at, but and we might be shooting towards this thing, this resilient. We put it up. I don't. At some point in time, it's not going to be on this pedestal because it's not going to make a difference. It's not. It's the secondary. Oh well, I guess I got to dust myself off again and get back to it, right? It's just it just becomes now your standard. You're hiring your stand, which is the issue in the community. Is the low standards. Oh, he's a great father. What do you do? Oh, he's around. No, that doesn't make him a great father.
Right.
That's a low standard thinking. Oh, well, I just wish mine was around. No, you don't. He might not even be a good person. Or the mother might not be a good mother. Look, I'm dead serious. Like there's
Yes.
people who say, well, my mother was there for me, but she wasn't a good person. You dealing with the situation, the ramifications to this day. Your mother was stuck with you because she thought she needed to be stuck with you, and she didn't, and it shows. I see it. The standard's too low. It's not enough for them just to maintain
Mm.
a child. You don't maintain like that's got us to where we're at. The low standard. That's the same way resiliency is. But when you're resolved, when I go back day after day, and y'all check out my IG, y'all. I'm in the gym. I'm really working out.
I see you, man. I see that's heavyweight too.
So when you're in there and you're working out and you're lifting heavy weights, I thought about it today. I said, you know what? I said it's not the point about moving. It's not the weight that's the issue or the muscles, or the lack thereof. They're there. I said it's we get to my age, it's a joint thing.
Yes.
I need to strengthen these joints, right? Like
Yes.
I get to strengthen these joints. So now the resolve is, the goal is to be stronger and be in the best shape and healthy overall. That's the top goal. But okay, to look good or aesthetically, to master this thing, it's like, oh, I get a chance to look at somebody, oh, I wasn't able to lift it. I get it again. Slow down. Work on your joints. Slow down. Get some rest. Slow down. Check on your nutrition. This is what happens when the resolve leads to resourcefulness, really. When you think about it, you start to become more resourceful. Okay, I want to do this. For me, I'm like, okay, the 24th of December, I'm resolved to have a 405 squat, a 500, which I got the 500 deadlift. I'm not worried about that. The 405 squat and a 315 on the incline bench, right? I want to do that on the 24th. And I still got to do my 43 deadlifts at 315. Like all this is going to be a part of it. And I'm resolved for that to happen. Sometimes it's not in me, but I got to be resourceful. Okay, what I'm going to do today? I got to get this blood flowing. Okay, I need to get this. I need to start doing this. I need to start stepping. Hold on. I think my son is leaving. Let me see. I said, where are the car keys? They're out there. My father's in town.
Tell him I said hi, man. Yeah.
But so he's spending time with his grandson out there. So the resolve is leading to the resourcefulness. So now I'm resourceful, and then it's like me. So I'm really building this strength of, you know how it go. Oh boy, I don't think I want to lay down a little bit longer today, or I was thinking about all the thoughts I had in the gym, like, well, I'm gonna go home and do yard work anyways. You know what I mean? Like I could walk chalky an extra couple of steps. This is what I'm telling myself, you know what I mean? But it's like the resolve is like, now you're gonna finish doing what you're supposed to do. You could do this, right? Be resourceful about it though. Be smart about it at the age that we're at. Be intelligent and still keep your standards high. All these things can be accomplished. The dope thing about it is when you really think about it, nobody else is doing it. So if you just even get this in your mind for a little bit, and I'm telling you, any industry, if you're resolved to be at the top of your industry, whatever that is, if we're talking about career, whatever it is, if you're resolved to do it, understand that most people are not resolved to do it. They worried about resiliency, but you're resolved. So it's like, okay, if I need to, and I have to access it because something catastrophic is happening, as it could, right? We saw Jamaica that happen. But Jamaica is not thinking, it's not about resiliency in Jamaica. They're resolved to make the island work how it's supposed to work. You're resolved. Okay. Let's get to it. It's time to get to work. I'm not even asking any questions. I'm not asking whether I'm just doing it. I'm getting to it. I'm focused, and I'm resolved for this to happen. And then I'm telling you, it gets crazy. There's points when it doesn't even seem like work. It doesn't even seem like this. There's times when you lack clarity. That's where I'm at, where I can attest to that, where I got to say, okay, boy, you need to sit down and meditate for about 15 minutes. When last I used to have a girlfriend, she says, like, Mike, when's the last time you meditated? She would always
Yeah.
be, and so now I do the same thing. I'm like, when was the last time you meditated? Like you sat down and just meditated and received and got clear. Because that's what changes resolve to something else. It's like I'm not really clear. I don't know how to prepare. I don't know how to put these things together. And oftentimes it's just as simple as 1, 2, 3. But we're finding these things. Okay, boom. I'm lacking clarity now. Shut everything down. Shut it all down. Shut it all down. Because if I lack clarity, I'm liable to do some things that's just gonna muddy the waters. I'm liable to take on clients that are just gonna that are going to make me take a step back. I'm liable to send somebody out to do something for some work for me, and now I got to spend more time with this person than what it would have been if I just the attorney, like you mentioned earlier, brother. I should have just paid this attorney to do the job, and I can go on and get clear. I can sit down. I'm shutting it down. I'm getting still. What is going on? I'm lacking clarity here. Where do I need to be? And oftentimes you're like, oh, I'm right where I need to be. It's just it's the timing, and it's not my time, and it's the Most High timing. All right, I'm done for real because this was a heavy episode. If you grasp some of these concepts, and in this episode, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, and that's why I love we have these conversations, because the brother brought up resilience. I'm like, oh, resilience. Like what Alan said, practice.
What we talk about practice?
Here, practice. You talking? I was like, I need to rest. I'm out here hanging out and doing all this stuff, and I'm still performing. I'm averaging close to 30 points a game. Still, we got to understand how crazy Allen Iverson was. He was barely 6 feet, and he took his team to the championship, man, and ran into a roadblock. But you couldn't do it by yourself. You get the championship, you're going against some real competition. Like you don't win these 7, 14, 21 games. You won all these games, and now you had the pinnacle. Now that's when leadership come in, right? Now this is when I got to have these conversations with the general manager. Hey, you better get some players around me. You know, you need to get the right coach around me. This team is built around me, right? That's a whole different thing. That's a Tom Brady thought process. You know, I want to give Mike his credit, but Phil was there every time, and Phil has done it almost at every. So Mike got to give Phil a lot of the ways, the Zen master, so to speak. But definitely Tom Brady. I think LeBron is similar to that as well. LeBron said, "Hey, you got to get some role players around me." Right. And I'm not saying whether LeBron is better than Mike. We're not even getting into that. But, you know, every generation has their favorite. But yeah, you start to get this resolve, man. Resilience is dope. It's there. You access it. But make sure you have a process around it. What did you just say, brother? Something about you need to have a pain. You need to have a process. The brother said you need to have a process around pain. You need to have a process around resilience. You have to have a process around this resilience, because you could bounce back and it's just an insanity thing. You're just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? That's not resolve. Resolve leads to resourcefulness. Resilience can lead to insanity, right? It can lead to a stop point. It can lead to something that's keeping you at a certain level. Be resolved. I would imagine every major person in the Bible was resolved. Because the Dr. Baker brought up Daniel. But everybody was resolved to whatever goal it was. That's how they got in the Bible. That's how I would imagine. Like it had and then the resolve probably was around being submissive and obedient to the Most High. It's like, oh, I'm resolved for it. I messed up, but I'm resolved to make up for this thing. I'm resolved. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, man. That's good. And just for all of you all out there that are working through these processes, sometimes it takes a little bit of that pain before you can actually get to resolve. So whatever stage you are in inside your life, just keep pushing, and learn. That's one of the first things Mike said. Learn the lesson. When you go through something difficult, something hard, take the time to breathe. Like take the day off.
Mhm.
You know, get to yourself and start asking yourself questions. I had to learn that. I shared it before on Community Beacon. I shared it with Mike. I had to learn that because I had associated some of those times with darker things. And then I realized, sometimes God just want to tell you something. Sometimes you just need to get by yourself so you can hear where you're supposed to go. The reason why you can't see your way is because you're too busy walking in front of the leader. You walking in front of the light. You got to walk in the light. Don't walk in front of it. It's darkness there. And if you make a left and they go straight, yeah, praise the Lord. you,
You know what I noticed, Jordan? I'm reading the 12 Rules of Life, Jordan Peterson. Awesome. And it's interesting. It's so simple. It's some simple books. Book should be given out to high schoolers. Like with Napoleon Hill, this is another one. Like, give this book to high schoolers, and it talks about um, standing up with your chest, with your shoulders back, and your eyes forward. You're right. This is a part of the first rule. And I'm letting
Mhm.
you guys know I'm standing this entire time. I just realized that I'm like for an hour and a half. I come in this room and we get on this show and I just stand up, right? Like it's all a part because it didn't start off this way, right? Like I'd be sitting and this that, but now it's just like I'm just standing up and embodying these lessons that we've learned throughout the years. And I was driving and I thought about that and it just makes me feel really really good about just how you can tell in someone's demeanor. I'm giving myself props. Hold on.
Mm.
You could just tell in the demeanor. It's all of this stuff, man, and learning and getting deep and getting to and having first. And then you got to get the brother spoke about it. Having great mentors and coaches and guides. 90% of the people are not doing what the people who are tuned in here are doing. Get you some people that can maneuver. Get away, and it's not their fault. Get away from mediocre people. You can always come back and check in. You can always come back and check in. And matter of fact, this is what you do. This is what I do. On Sunday, I'm making phone calls to people, right? Family, friends, associates, right? That aren't necessarily adding, are moving me forward, right? Like they're
Yeah.
not necessarily to my trajectory. It has nothing to do with them. I'm not saying they're positive, they're negative, whatever it is, but I know where I'm going. That's why I can tell people no, nope, nope. Little Duval got a clip that says, not in God's will. Nope, sorry, it's not in God's will. I can't do it. You have to be able to understand where you're going, and it's and this is and I'm really giving you a high number at 10%. I'm really being good. Everybody know I have a 95-5 rule. Been having it for years, right? But 90 to 95% of people are just mediocre people. Nothing wrong with it. It is what it is. I'm not here to change minds, whatever. I'm talking to the people who are contrarians, who understand, who read, who are open-minded, who understand this and want to become successful. And we're going in this direction. And these people are going to tell you through shame, insults, I call it ignorance, guilt, and righteousness that this is the way to go. And they haven't even reached this level. They're not taking the opportunities that they have for fear or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. I'm not even diving into that pathology at this point in time. Just understand that this is happening. You need people who are going in your direction or even in the are ahead of you for the most part, is what I would say. Great. I mean, I'm around some people that are at the top. I'm so blessed to have them, for them to pour into me, for them to have conversations with me that go way beyond like, at first it's this $10,000, right? Like people like, and I'm telling you, don't just give people your $10,000. I'm telling you now,
No, don't do
don't just
that.
give them, and don't just give them your $5,000.
No.
Any and old body, do your due diligence on, whatever whatever thing is you're attempting to get into. Do your due diligence. But the amount, if these people who I have access to in my phone for us to call, or they call me, and we're having conversations about their expertise, it's way beyond the amount of money that most people could think or even think to pay. What was crazy to me too is that one of these people who was at the top, I mean, he runs in the top circles. He's mentioned in probably some of the most important business books of our era, right? He pays 60 grand a year for his coach. He got a coach he pays $60,000 to. When he told me $60, 60,000, gladly, Michael. Gladly. And when we go to our conferences, they're staying at the Four Seasons. They're there for weekends, and then when they stayed at the Four Seasons here in Palm Beach, I ended up getting a chance to go. And I'm in the room and I'm looking at all of these people who are charging the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, $100,000, doing, $300,000-$400,000 a month, $1 million a month. And I'm sitting there and they're regular people, right? And I'm not saying that to say that I was starstruck or to say, I'm just saying that these people are paying these people in order to get out of this thing, because a lot of them, truth be told, we had a guy who came on here who spoke about it. Remember he said he had oh my gosh, not for whatever reason, survivor's guilt has come to mind, but it's not survivor's guilt, the imposter syndrome. There we go. Said he had imposter. A lot of these people have it. You could be in conversation with them for 15 to 20 minutes and you can tell, right? Like they have it. They could possibly, like, how did I, and they're here and they're doing this coaching in order to rectify some of these different issues. And I'm, thank God for great parents, like my mother, my father. Thank God for my grandfather. I really don't, it just, what are we doing next, Bob? That's my thought process. Like, what are we doing next, Pinky? No, brain, we're gonna take over the world. Let's go. Right? If that's whatever it is. Let's go. What's the goal, Mike? This. Let's go. Resolved. All right. I lied. I lied. Guys, it's an hour and 33 minutes. These were that was interesting. This was one of those shows, man. And I'm bookmarking it. I'm gonna go back and listen to it. Yeah, man. If you want to get pointed in the right direction, you got two great guys here, right? You got two great guys here that the brothers spoke. We've seen some stuff, man. We navigate some things. We experience some stuff. We are true human beings. The brother started off the show by saying he was at his job close to 20 years. I was at the city for 10, and I was just like, I'm out. I'm out. right? And it was like 5, and I had told myself I give myself 5 years, and because you get so, you become attached to the,
Acclimated.
yeah, you're acclimated, good people. I know some of the brothers that at least one brother on the force that you were on the fire department. Awesome guy. So you're used to these people, and then you got to look at your wife, because the trepidation there, I could imagine, 20 years. You got your kids, and they like, wait a minute, you just, I told Elijah, you don't even have a concept of money, right? Like you just think it fall out of the sky. But you get to have those conversations. But guess what? You get to master the moment, you get to master life. You're stepping out into your purpose. How you going to, if you've been given this direction by the Most High, what are we talking about? At that point in time, you can't talk about, to me anyways, about faith and belief and this, that, and the third, if you're not operating in that same level. Once the instruction is given, not because I said so, not because it looks well, but because you have that information and that direct connection, and it was and this was given to you, right? Not because Mike say, "Oh, everybody needs to be entrepreneur," which I don't. Stay safe. Stay at your job. The government is laying off people. There's inflation. Steak is 15 or 17.99. Ground beef is 5.50 a pound for ground beef. We don't even know what's in the ground beef. They grind everything up and just give it to us, right? And they say it went from 2.99 to 5.59. Gas ain't too bad, but these things is happening with it. Hey, stay safe, man. Because you ain't gonna come and say, well, Mike told me. I said, no, Mike ain't say. Mike said, stay. Get along. Be resolved to figure this thing out. Especially if you weren't given it the direction. If no one gave you if you weren't, not no one, if the Most High didn't tell you to go in a certain direction, stay home where it's safe. Right? Stay where it's safe. This is a real thing out here. And if you're not resolved to figure this thing out, if you're not resolved, then you really need to figure out resilience, because it's gonna be a lot of it's gonna be a lot of bats to the face. There's gonna be a lot of broken contracts. There's gonna be a lot of people who say they were gonna pay, and all of a sudden they can't pay no more. There's gonna be a lot of decisions. There's gonna be a lot of contracts that fall through. There's gonna be a lot of people who just decide and woke up and say, "This isn't the right time." This is just going to be happening. It's a part of it's a part of the thing. It's some sharks out there too. So all this stuff is happening. So you want to sit there and talk about resilience? Oh no, to me anyway. At this point, resilience. Oh, I done been there. I got up and said, "Oh, God, I'm gonna be resilient today." Nah, I get up with joy. Hey, I'm resolved to get this thing figured out. We're gonna figure this thing out today. We're gonna lift these weights. We're gonna be pleasant. We're gonna have an enjoyable attitude. We're gonna smile. We're gonna walk around with our chest out, our back, our shoulders back and our eyes up, and we're looking, and we're taking on the accountability and the responsibility that we need to do. Right? My child needs this. I need to have this conversation. I need to figure this thing out every day. Pat, 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 pat. Be resolved in that. Be resolved. All right, I'm done. I'm done for real. Guys, we will see you next week. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Peace.